So today's conversation is the language of conscious design and storytelling. We're going to be exploring how sustainability becomes a creative force in design, a narrative thread in storytelling, a shared language across the fashion ecosystem. So this is the sixth in the Good Talk series, created by Theory and the Council of Fashion Designers of America. Today we're going to be talking about where design begins, basically with intention before the sketch, before a sample, how does sustainability enter the creative process? We're going to be talking about the importance of designing with purpose. Why are we making clothes, shoes, or product in the first place? It's like, I think we make things because we want to make things that matter to our customer and make the world a better place. I mean, we're all sitting here. We all want to make the world a better place. That's really what we're talking about. While we're creating wonderful things, while we're creating beauty, while we're creating things that people love and want to have. You know, so what do we want people and consumers to understand? And how do we capture the attention of people so that they can design with purpose and responsibility? How do we share with the consumers so that they buy with intention and mindfulness? So I'm going to reference a conversation that's on Netflix right now. I don't know if any of you've seen famous last words of Jane Goodall. I highly, highly recommend it. I watched it and was crying at the end. But at the end, towards the end of it, she talked specifically about storytelling as it pertains to climate change. And I thought, oh my God, this is perfect. It's like, this is going to be something I'm going to reference. So what she said was that we really need to capture it, influence people at the heart level, not necessarily just at the mind level, because if we keep doing it at the mind level, people are not paying attention. So she said, I speak a lot to CEOs around the world, and at one of the talks I had, a CEO from Singapore came up to me and he said, what tipped the balance for him was his daughter, who was 8 years old, had come back from school and said, and I quote, "Daddy, they told me that what you are doing is hurting the planet." That's not true, is it, Daddy? Because it's my planet. It's like when I heard that, I just started crying. Of course, I was crying through most of this entire video, I have to say anyway, so I didn't just start then. But it was very impactful to me in terms of, a story. So we're going to be addressing a lot of different things on this particular panel today. And it's going to be more of an interactive conversation amongst the panelists. And then I'm going to want you all to kind of talk about it at the different tables and really walk away with maybe being inspired to take some action, be inspired to do something, or inspired to even think about things maybe a little differently than you had in the past. So right now what I'm going to do is I'm going to introduce our panelists, who are really quite impressive, I have to say. I'm impressed by them, I have to tell you. First one is Tina Bhojwani. She's the founder and CEO of Era, a luxury sustainable footwear brand based in New York. She has over 20 years of experience in the fashion industry, where she previously held key leadership roles at global brands, including Donna Karan, Theory, and Dolce & Gabbana. Throughout her career, she has seen the impact of fashion on people and the planet and recognized the need for change, not only as a business imperative, but more importantly, a deeply human one. These are her words. I love these. I love what she said about this, I have to tell you. She built Era as a platform to address these environmental and social challenges with the hope of making its practices the new normal in fashion. And I think that's what we're all here to do, create a new normal in fashion. Then Danielle McNally. Danielle is the executive editor of InStyle, where she oversees features, strategy, special projects across platforms. Prior to joining that brand, she spent 6 years at Marie Claire in various leadership roles, including deputy editor, executive editor, and interim editor-in-chief. Danielle has been a senior editor at Cosmopolitan and Details, leading on health, fitness, and nutrition coverage, in addition to editing news, political, and social justice features. She has also held positions at Shape and Food Network magazine. Work that Danielle has edited has been nominated for a National Magazine Award in personal service 4 times, with the package Invasion of Privacy winning the award in 2021. Impressive, I would say. She has degrees in journalism and political science from the University of Miami. While there, she spent her time creating and editing the school's first student magazine titled appropriately, and I love this, Distraction. It's great, right? Carmen Gamma, Director of Circular Design at Eileen Fisher, and we know how impressive the work has been that Carmen and the team at Eileen Fisher has done. She is a New York-based designer and circularity strategist, recognized for advancing innovative business models that transform how fashion systems operate and divert textile waste from landfills. Again, super impressive. As Director of Circular Design at Eileen Fisher, she leads the integration of circular principles into design and operations, developing scalable systems that extend product life cycle, recover value, and reduce environmental impact. She is also Parsons School of Design graduate and a recipient of the Eileen Fisher and CFDA Social Innovator Fellowship. Talk about impressive, right? I know, we've got a very impressive panel, I have to say. Okay, so Tina, your brand merges craftsmanship, luxury, and purpose, all under the structure of a certified B Corp. Impressive. You live where creativity meets accountability. Why did you create Era, and what was your purpose?
First of all, thank you, Wendy. It's great to be back here at Theory. It's great to be with you all. Why did I create Era? Well, I've worked in the industry, as Wendy said, for more than 20 years, and I feel like I had a front row seat to the good, the bad, all of it, and I felt like I hit a point in my career where we wanted to address the social and environmental challenges that our industry faces. I never dreamed that I'd create a brand, but I wanted to come up with a platform to address the issues, and the best way to do that was vis-a-vis a brand. So starting from scratch, it's easier to take the approach we wanted to take, which was 360-degree look at sustainability. Let's look at the welfare of humans, animals, and our shared environment, and let's address those issues through product. And let's make beautiful product that looks as good as any other product that's in the market, and hopefully will shift the mindset of consumers.
I remember you talking to me about this when you started it, because I remember you were asking me, well, like about sustainability and, learning more about it. And ever since that conversation, I've seen you create this brand, which I think is so impressive. I mean, I'm wearing one of the shoes. Oh, by the way, if anyone wants to come and see, they're really comfortable and they look fabulous. So I think it's really impressive what you're doing.
Thank you.
Yeah, if you can talk a little bit more about a B Corporation. What is that?
Sure. So B Corp it's sort of, for me, we were doing the work, but how do you show you're doing the work? Because sustainability means so many different things to different people. And it is a really rigorous process where every aspect of your company is measured and verified through an independent party called B Lab, which is a nonprofit. And everything's assessed: your supply chain, how you treat your workers, your community involvement, your sourcing, your manufacturing. And you go through this process, and you have to show that you're doing better than average, and you're exceeding, what the standards are for the industry. And what's really important is that you don't just get this certification and it sticks. Every 3 years you have to recertify. So you've got to not only show that you're continuing good work, but also try to improve upon the work that you're doing. I liken it sometimes to when you buy food and you see the organic stamp. Like, I want customers to easily identify, the work behind the brand and not have to do the investigative work to understand why, and what we're doing.
Wow. Thank you. Wow. Danielle, you sit at the intersection of creativity and communication, translating ideas for the public, which is such an important position. What makes sustainability stories stick? And what will it take to capture the consumer's attention regarding purpose-driven sustainable products?
I would say it's having sustainability rooted in your design. It's not about gimmicks or about buzzwords. I think that, people, especially young consumers, can really see through that. And so if you have that sustainability built in all the way through, then your story is there. And it's about being, I would say, transparent as well, and really clear about what you're doing. I think that, again, especially young consumers are really savvy and they can sniff out something that is just greenwashing. And so I think that if you can talk about the fact that for Era, for example, like it's just in everything that they do. And so it's not a one-off story that you tell in April during Earth Month. It's something that is always happening in your business. And there are tons of businesses that are doing this work, Eileen Fisher as well. And we see it a lot in up-and-coming designers. Last year we interviewed FIT graduate students, 7 of them, and every single one had some aspect of sustainability that was just in their business model from the jump, whether that was using exclusively natural fibers or local production or only having a pre-order, made-to-order model so that they weren't overproducing. And so I think that all of those designers are going to be able to tell that story from the start of their business and not have to shift something and try to figure out, well, how do I tell this consumer that hasn't thought about me as a sustainable business? Always, how do I, capture their attention and shift their perspective on my company? They're just going to be able to have that right from the beginning. So that's really encouraging, I think.
I think that's really great. I think it's a matter of having it become part of just how we think when we're creating product. It's like I've said to so many people for the last number of years, it's like, well, if you're looking at a fabric, it's like, well, it's you're asking the question of like, what's the weight, what's the content, what's the width, what's the price? Well, now just add on, like, well, what's the sustainability of it? Is it preferred fiber? Where does it come from? What is, do you know where your fiber is? Just kind of like, what is the chemical makeup of it? Just asking more questions so it becomes part of how you think is really what I think we have to be doing. That's great. Thank you. And Carmen, as a matter of fact, you actually are really focused on all of this in terms of how you do what you do. So what has been your biggest aha moment in developing circular or recycled products?
I mean, we've been having so many aha moments throughout the years. I mean, I've been at the company for 10 years, right? This year was my 10-year anniversary. But if I really want to laser focus on what I'm, mostly working on right now, it's more like we're at the company, we're really trying to scale textile to textile recycling and really embedding into the company. And the biggest aha moment there in that part of the work that we're doing is like, it's not the question of like, how do we design for circularity or how do we design materials with recyclable content? It's like, how do we design a system that supports those products? Because we have the technology, we have the infrastructure, and we, at Eileen Fisher, we have the partnerships, we have the volume that meet the requirements for these, but it's more like, okay, if we want to move from pilot to implementation, how do we support that, right? And the internal processes and external processes are not there, right? Because there's not a manual who's telling us how to do it. So for example, this year leadership was like, okay, we want to fully integrate T2T materials into line. It has to be seasonal, right? The same way that we're integrating regenerative cotton, we have to integrate that. But there's so many challenges because how do you buy ahead of time for these when you're shipping goods to another countries? There's a lot of hurdles and like walls that you have to overcome. So it's like the buying team, the ops team, like you have to create like all of these new workflows for that. And also externally, right? We need more regulation to ship these goods extremely easily across borders. Like our wool this year was stuck in custom for a really long time, but like 3 years ago it crossed smoothly. So there's a lot of challenges from moving from pilot to implementation. So I feel like that's the biggest aha moment. It's like designing not the product, it's designing the systems to support that.
And are you having, so it's taking time to design these systems, I'm assuming, right? And it's taking time to have the internal teams align with these systems, correct? Yes.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the biggest, I thrive on challenges, right? If there's no challenges, I get bored very quickly. So I feel like that's why I'm so excited about T2T right now. Because it's like we're working together and like how do we, the design team because they might be proposing these fibers, but the buying team has to buy ahead of time, but not knowing how much volume these X amount of garments that we have in our storage is going to yield, right? And hoping for the best that these goods are going to make it on time to our vendor and then come back to make a new garment. So all of these is like, how do we change the workflows internally so it becomes like a seasonal product?
How are you inspiring and enrolling those teams to be part of this process? I think that's really, like, how are you doing that?
I think that's what we were like you guys were talking about right now. It's like it can be sustainability or circularity or regenerative design. It can't just be a silo. It can't be just one person. And I know that a lot of companies are structured right now because a lot of are shifting from non-sustainable to moving towards a circular economy. But it can't just stay within one person. It can't be just one team. It has to be an integrated, it has to be the goals. It has to be the values have to be integrated across all departments. So it's not about like one team trying to convince everybody, like, hey, this is what we should be doing. It's more like how we're doing these together. So I feel like, and I mean, we're not perfect, right? Like a long time when I started, we were siloed, but now the work that I do is fully integrated into the design team. Now I'm part of the design team. I wasn't for like 9 years. So now, again, it's not me being a sales pitch to them. It's like, okay, how do we all together do this? But it has to come from top leadership.
Right. So the top basically changed the structure so that it was easy for the integration and the collaboration to happen.
Yeah, C-suite level, they're the ones who are like, okay, green light, let's just get it done. Like renew, the ops team, now it's part of, a renew ops team, now it's part of the Eileen Fisher ops team. I'm part of the design team. So the merch team, like marketing, we're collaborating very close with marketing. So I feel like now it's all one, so that is like, that smooths the operation.
But it took time to make that happen.
Yes,
even at Eileen Fisher.
Yes, even at Eileen Fisher.
We
say like even at Eileen Fisher, who are like our values are, like sustainability is grounded. It's
because I think it's not so much about there's a sustainability team. It's not about sustainability. It's about just basically looking at how we impact what our impact is in the world today, and it's like shifting our thinking. And not calling it, almost not even talking about it as from a sustainable perspective. It's more from a responsible perspective. Yeah.
And I actually, for one more thing, is like, for Eileen, it's all, if you go to a website, it's all about the product, right? Mm-hmm. That's what we were talking earlier with some people here in the networking. It's like, we do so much internally, we don't share everything that we do, right? It's more like how we're doing it, like the product. It's all about the product, yeah.
And I think that we are making clothes and we are making, or shoes, we're making things that really we want people to love and have. So it's like, so it does need to be about the product and then how we make it. Yeah, I agree. So Tina, I just want to ask you a question in terms of the challenges that you've gone through just to create sustainable materials to put in all of your shoes. It's like you've done this and you've done some incredible materials. Oh, by the way, look at the shoes again. And I think that, talk to me about how challenging that was.
My goodness, it's been a little over 5 years now, and there have been so many challenges, some, that we could control and some that we couldn't. And we launched in February of 20. So the biggest challenge was, here you are, I'm trying to do something new and different and innovative and show it to the world, and the world is shutting down. No one cares about shoes, right? So how do we keep the company going? And we had to sort of rethink everything and cut our expenses. And we were going to launch as a direct-to-consumer company, and then quickly realized like we're going to have to balance this with wholesale and partnerships and so on. And we got through that moment. But what was really interesting was going to Italy because we wanted to create shoes that embraced the good of luxury, so artisanal craftsmanship, family-run factories, work with artisans who could make the shoes. So we're there, we're in Veneto, which is outside of Venice, which is a shoemaking region in Italy, and we meet the owner of a factory, and he said, "Are you crazy? Why would you want to use these materials?" And they were all sort of next-gen